How are we doing, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. Haven't had a Periscope in a while. Question that came up, as questions always come up, that I am answering. I've answered this before in the past, but I'm answering it again. I should probably honestly just make an article about it and state it as a position paper on the website. That question being, what do I think of cannabis? What do I think of weed? What are my thoughts? I've said this before and I'll say it again. Cannabis, to preface, cannabis has obvious medical uses. It, I think, quite axiomatically has purposeful, let's say, options for treating various ailments, diseases. It has a role in modern medicine, etc., etc., etc. That said, for those of you who smoke weed recreationally, you need to ask yourself one fundamental question. Am I doing this to relax, or am I doing this to self-medicate and numb myself? So is this for relaxation purposes, or is this for numbing purposes? The big issue I see time and time again, and if you are this person, is that you don't smoke weed because it chills you out. You smoke weed because you can't handle your fucking life. You can't handle stress. You can't handle anything that's disruptive. You can't handle frustration. You can't handle irritation. You can't handle yourself. Henceforth, you go home at night or throughout the day, or you vape, etc., and you light up, and you get the relaxation feeling where all the emotions kind of come down and your frenetic mental state turns off, and then you don't have to think about anything. And all the things that are bothering you, all the things in your subconscious that float beneath the surface that irritate you, well, now they're gone, because you're in this smoky fucking haze of gazing off into the distance with a vacant look in your eyes, and you're high as fuck. And boy, is that feeling good. If that's you, fucking face up to it. So, what do I think of weed? I don't really have an opinion on it. If you want to smoke weed for medicinal purposes, validly, by all means do so. Feel free. But the critical issue I see with about 50% of people is you're not using it because you have anxiety. You're not using it because you have chronic pain. You're not using it because you have anything really wrong with you that might, objectively merit using it. You're using it because you can't handle your own shit. That's why you're using it. And henceforth, every day that you use it, until the day that you stop, your life's a fucking waste. And you know this. You know this because you have fellow stoner friends who they live to get high all the time, or the highlight of your day, even if you are productive, is the fact that you get to go home and escape from your actual life and go, like I said, self-medicate and sit there in a mental fog and not think about anything. That's what you look forward to. You're like the people on the weekend. You're like the people that work for the corporation where they live their whole life for the fucking weekend, where they can have 2 days of escapism from everything else they've created. I had neighbors that hated their jobs and came home to get high every night. Yeah, that's a lot of people. I see that in young people. I see that in, middle-aged people. I get that in questions that you guys send me all the time where you want to overcome the habit, but you don't know what to do. So when does it end? When does it fucking end? You have to ask yourself that question. Is this for a purpose, or is this to medicate? Which one is it? If it's a self-medicate, I don't have any suggestion for you. How do I get over that? You have to fucking stop. Flat out. You stop, or you taper down, or you find some way to become something, become somebody, to apply yourself to something, and you get over, whatever the fuck is holding you back, which is probably many, many, many things. Because obviously this is an issue that you've felt the need to, externally, exogenously, try to solve that way. You try and fix it. This has nothing to do with what you're saying, but you are a beautiful and great sermon. You're welcome. So this is not punitive. There's nothing wrong with you. This is not a moral judgment. If you like to get high to escape, fine. I think, again, perhaps part of the time it's okay. You can make that argument that maybe it's okay to do that on occasion. But if that's your mode of being, and that's what you're living for, and that's what you need to literally get through a day, to get through a week, to get through a month, where you can't imagine handling your existence as a whole without getting high all the time, without having that haze going on, Jesus Christ. You gotta go look in the fucking mirror and ask yourself some fundamental questions. Sex on weed is good. Yeah, it is good. Good. I like it for creative writing. If it helps you, it helps you. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And you know when it's not really helping. Have you ever smoked weed? Yeah, I have. A bunch. Didn't like it. I had that point in college where I tried to do all the drugs and try all the things. Weed didn't do anything for me that I found that appealing. Weed makes simple life problems harder. Perhaps. Yeah, drugs in some sense or another, it's always going to be, you know, a running away process. That's why people love to do them. It takes you into an altered mental state. You come down out of it. Real life is not that thrilling. Or real life is shitty, and, you know, at least you get that high for that period of time where you don't have to think about how poor your actual day-to-day existence is. Either or. I don't know. What do you guys think? Have you tried shrooms? Yes, I have tried shrooms. Once you've utilized shrooms, life is never quite the same again. Don't do drugs, but when you do drugs, they're awesome. Drugs are awesome. Drugs are awesome. They definitely are. Yeah, I'm a libertarian in that sense. People should be free to do what they want. But sometimes that freedom is not such a good thing. I'm going to drink this, and then I'm going to go to the gym. This is open for comments now, guys. I haven't had a Periscope in a while, so now you can, you know, ask whatever you want. Write about your shroom experience, please. Nah, I probably won't do that, honestly. I'm for the legalization of it. Yeah, I'm very pro-legalization as well. I believe everything should be legal. But, you know, with legalization, with freedom, you have to have certain boundaries. Would that hurt your brand? It's not that it would hurt the brand. You know, I'm pretty forthright with, you know, a lot of things about myself. It's just, it's not something where there's a lot of nuance to using drugs, I'd say responsibly, if you could say such a thing, especially for things that are psychedelics. And I do believe that some people are just not suitable to use them. You have to have a very stable mental state to use psychedelics. You have to be in an environment where it's safe. You're with people you trust. And I would feel unethical trying to write that and then share it and then having people do so in an irresponsible manner because they were inspired by the article. And maybe at a future point in time I'll post that up, but, you know, not now. Steps on getting off drugs or weekend excess binge drinking. Are there physical health issues smoking weed? Yeah, smoking weed has carcinogens like everything else. It's like, you know, cigarettes, weed. You can say, well, weed's better for you because of XYZ. Okay, you're still smoking and taking fucking shit into your lungs. You know, like choking out your lungs on ashes. That's never a good thing. Period. Opinion on alcohol. Opinion on alcohol is the same thing. It can be good. It can be bad. You have to be honest with yourself about what it is for you. Are you drinking to medicate? Are you drinking to numb yourself out? Are you drinking to avoid? Are you drinking to handle life? Or are you drinking because you enjoy having a cocktail, drink, wine on the weekend, some moderate alcohol intake, and it doesn't interfere with anything else? People know when shit's a problem. Yeah, that's why, like, my opinion on, I don't have an opinion on these things of, you know, do this, don't do that. What does it do for you? How is it serving you? If you drink socially, or you drink because you have a glass of wine, or you have a beer a day, fine. If you're healthy in all other areas of your life and things are relatively optimal, by all means do so. But if that's not the case, then that's not the case. Knowing why you do something is all that matters. Knowing why you do something and knowing what it is actually doing for you, you have to face that objectively. Tell us about the shroom trip. Nah, you can't really describe that into words. The thing that when you do psychedelics, you see reality on a different level because you are both separate from it and you realize that you are integrated with it. So your perceptions and the, how should I say, the sight that you have in terms of both energy and actual visual perception and perceptibility, that all shifts. It shifts into a higher, or let's just say different state. And you realize it has shifted into a different state. So when that happens, you have a different perspective on, you know, what it means to exist. I can't really say that any other way. What did you learn from what I just said? You realize that there are different levels to existence. Do you read a fuck ton? I do read a lot. Do you watch NFL football? No, I don't. What's the work for the day? My work? I've got a very massive essay to finish on the 7 stages of masculinity. Oh, workout for the day. What's today? Back biceps. Tell us about the shroom trip. I just did. With psychedelics in general, guys, like I'm saying this, I'm not suggesting that you use them. Psychedelics, they alter your state of consciousness where you realize that there are different levels of reality that you ordinarily cannot perceive, see figuratively and literally in your normal conscientious state. Football, I don't watch sports, period. So if anyone's going to ask that question, the answer is no. Champions League football, what about it? Do you know Terrence McKenna? No. Name sounds familiar, but no. I've never enjoyed compromising my mental... Yeah, a lot of people don't use drugs for that reason. Will you use psychedelics again, or are you done with them? I'll probably use them again if I feel like it, essentially. I wouldn't argue that it's something that everybody needs to do. Like I said, you have to be someone that is within a mental frame of mind, state, stability, all those things where it's suitable for you and you hope to extract something out of it. You know, I think for someone that's not, for someone that's mentally unstable, it could be a very damaging experience. Do some with me in Holland. Mushrooms are crazy. Last time I did them, I sat in my room listening to electric light organ. Listening to music's a trip, isn't it? It's a fucking trip. What percentile neuroticism are you? 1. That was on the Big 5 personality test, I assume that's what you're referring to. Yeah, I scored a 1. Check out Terrence McKenna. He's a big countercultural figure with lectures and talks. Wait, I have watched his shit. Yeah, I do. Okay, I know who he is now. I know who he is. I don't profess to know him in depth, but yeah, I know who you're talking about. Thoughts on bulletproof coughing? Much of bullshit. Absolute fucking bullshit. The whole Bulletproof company, Dave Asprey, not to speak of him personally, but his whole shtick is complete, utter garbage. Great example of how to lie with pseudoscience, basically. You take enough jargon, and you take enough, big words, and you spin it together, people will believe anything. Any tips on to be less neurotic? Less neurotic? You have to kill that out of yourself. McKenna is a communist hippie, abused LSD. So what? So what? You can learn from communists. Don't be like a communist, but you can learn from communists. All right, I'll answer that question. How to be less neurotic. That's not an easy process. You have to get yourself into a frame of mind where you accept what you can control, reject what you cannot control. You mentally approach it from a level of who you are, what you're trying to be, your environment, who you know, etc. You remodel everything to try to manage what you can manage. And then over time, you can rewrite your personal narrative, so to speak, in regards to what your actual beliefs are and your inclinations and instincts. You can change your instincts. You shift all that into a frame that is much more relaxed, that is much more self-reliant. And then, over time, you're not as neurotic as you are right now. That said, that's not a singular process, obviously, since I'm giving you essentially 6 different levels of shit you have to address. Becoming less neurotic, to summarize it, it's changing the nature of your being. Like, you have to approach it that way. It's going to be a lifelong process, and you're probably never going to be that relaxed as a person. Maybe you will be eventually, but you certainly can be, more improved than you are now. If you're someone that is very reactive by default and you know you're neurotic, well, then you have the awareness to start changing it. So you have to capitalize on that awareness and start practicing. So essentially, you're practicing being a different version of yourself. And that, as I said, that will take time. Most people just need more tea to become less neurotic. That could be a factor. Higher testosterone levels usually correspond, or they do correspond with higher levels of generalized subjective well-being. So guys with high testosterone, they feel better. And that's not fake. That's due to various neurochemical cognitive processes that are running on a much higher level, let's say. So that could be a factor, but yeah, changing the nature of your being. Yeah, just think of it that way, man. So imagine yourself as a different person who is, let's just say, more relaxed. What does that person look like? How do they react? How do they live? You have to act that out. I told a client that this morning, where we're doing some business coaching, essentially trying to get his business to a higher level than it is right now. And he's got all these various, let's just say, blocks in terms of what he's trying to create. I told him, take yourself 5 years into the future, imagine who that man is, and then act that out right now. try that as an exercise, with the work that I gave you and see what that does. It's not going to fix everything, but it will orient your direction as to what you're trying to do. If you could own just one rifle, which one would you choose? Probably Kalashnikov, which in California, I'm probably not going to get access to one of those. But yeah, Kalashnikov. An AK-47. They work, and they work very well. And anyone that knows, let's just say, military history knows that for a fact. All right, guys. Good talk. This kind of went all over the place, but this was fun. Talk to you all again. Adios.